Week one of the college football season is just under 2 weeks away. The AP Top 10 poll was released today at noon. Take a look. Texas to top dogs. Penn State, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, Notre Dame not far behind. And now we will welcome in our college football experts, Chip Patterson and Brad Crawford, for more. We'll start with a big week one matchup. Texas, the top dogs in the poll, at Ohio State, who is third in the AP poll. That's a rematch of last season's college football playoff semifinal. It is highly anticipated. We're hearing that Texas QB Arch Manning has taken a big leap from last year to this year. But what can you tell us, Brad, about this matchup?
This is easily one of college football's biggest games of the year, and it comes during opening weekend. I mean, what a joy it is for us analysts, national people, and the fans. I mean, 1 versus 3, as you mentioned. And this is a chance for one of the Heisman frontrunners, Arch Manning. This is not his first career start, but it's his first career start against a top 10 team. And this is when we see if the hype is real surrounding the Longhorns. Preseason #1, 25 first place votes. There's a new offensive line in Austin, but the defense is where I think Texas is deserving of this top ranking. But the more we talk about this game, the more it feels like Ohio State is kind of the underdog here, despite playing at home as the reigning national champion. So if I'm Ryan Day here in mid-August, I've got plenty of bulletin board material to give my team before the season opening game.
And Brad, while we know about Arch Manning, Ryan Day has not officially decided to name a starting quarterback. You know, he's got Julian Sayin, the very talented underclassman who he was able to get from Alabama. Then he's also got Lincoln Keenholz, who's got a little bit more experience in the program, and I think is really pushing Sayin. I think they want, as a coaching staff, for both of these players to have a true iron sharpens iron situation, but maybe he also wants Texas to have to game plan for both of these quarterbacks and their different skill sets. So while Texas does have a new starting quarterback, it's a starting quarterback we've seen before in action and that we've got expectations for. The expectations for an Ohio State team that lost Will Howard, that lost Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, Emeka Egbuka, but does still have Jeremiah Smith. There's still so many questions around this Buckeyes team. I think one last word on this, Tricia. It is important that we treat this game like an island, because win or lose by any score, both of these teams can still win the national championship, and those opening week games can be a little weird. So no matter what happens, I promise I will overreact, and it will be unfair.
We would want nothing less from you, Chip, than an overreaction. It is that time of year. It's overreaction for college football. It's overreaction for the NFL. I love it. We get some crazy takes, and we love it. All right, let's talk about Alabama. They're coming in at 8th on the poll, facing Florida State in week one. Last year, Alabama suffered 4 losses, the most since 2007. But the expectations for them are high. For Florida State, we all witnessed that massive drop-off last season, an abysmal year for them. But now they're relying on a lot of new faces, and these two will face off in week one. What can we expect, Brad?
This is a show-me game for not only Kalen DeBoer and Alabama new starting quarterback Ty Simpson, but Mike Norvell after the face plant the Noles had last fall after going 13-0, entering the postseason the year before. Florida State has to show improvement, not just on the offensive line and the defensive line, but really at every position, especially quarterback. They've got Thomas Castellanos, a former Boston College starter, kind of lost that job a little bit last year, then transferred to FSU. Gus Malzahn, former UCF head coach. He's the new play caller in Tallahassee. So Mike Norvell in Florida State, this is a new-look team, and a team that a lot of us aren't really picking to finish in the top tier of the ACC. So maybe FSU is a squad outside of the AP top 25 that maybe we're undervaluing a bit. But man, I tell you what, it's hard to buy any stock in Florida State right now based on that team we saw on the field last season.
Yeah, you can understand why. Certainly anybody who had to witness that, I feel a little bit bad for you, because that is not a fun season. I grew up an IU football fan, so I know all about seasons exactly like that. All right, let's move on. You're not supposed to laugh at that. Sorry. You're laughing at my pain. Love it. All right, let's move on. This one is a good one. LSU #9 versus Clemson #4, featuring a couple Heisman hopefuls, both teams eyeing a national title run. But Chip, what have you seen from these two teams in camp so far? What do we expect?
The thing I love about where the Clemson Tigers are at is they are so talented, they need Dabo to cut them down, right? You know, Dabo comes out there and he says, y'all are talking about all these NFL draft picks. I saw them give up 300 yards to the Citadel. I saw them get run over by South Carolina. And Trevor Lawrence has told us that that's one lasting quality that he will always remember from that incredible run, 29 straight wins for the program with Lawrence as the quarterback, is that no matter how much of an advantage they had, Dabo always made them believe that no one believed in them. So look for the Tigers to come out, even though they are the favorite, even though they are at home. When they rub Howard's Rock and run down that big old hill, they are going to be playing like the world is against them. And I'll tell you what, it is a prove-it game, because it is a prove-it game for Clemson to show they aren't just good enough to win the ACC and go make an appearance in the college football playoff like they did last year. This is a team that has the right talent and checks all the boxes to make a deep college football playoff run, but we're not going to believe it if you show up against LSU the way you did against Georgia in last year's opener. LSU, of course, with its own nightmares of season openers in the past under Brian Kelly. Just so much prove it on the field and in the air in the upstate. I'm fired up for this one.
Yeah, you got me fired up for that one, because when the world is against a team, you tend to see some guys come out looking for something to prove, and that tends to result in some entertaining games. So we like that. All right, let's move on to Notre Dame and Miami. The Fighting Irish will be visiting South Florida for their first contest of the season. We've all been watching that quarterback battle for Notre Dame and for Miami. Their transfer from Georgia, Carson Beck, how will he perform? Lots of questions. Tell us what catches your eye about this matchup and these teams, Brad.
Yeah, I think Carson Beck is one of the top transfers, not only at quarterback, but in the market this last 2025 portal cycle, because we saw what he did at Georgia as a starter 2 years ago. Now, last fall, he backtracked a little bit, threw a lot of interceptions with one of the SEC's leaders in total giveaways. But in the second half against Alabama last year, we saw the former Georgia quarterback really light it up against an elite defense. Kind of had that first round vibe that we saw from Carson Beck 2 years ago. So I think Miami made a great splash signing here. I think he is equally talented as Cam Ward, #1 pick in last year's NFL draft, and I think Miami can get to the playoff with him. Now, that said, first couple games of the year are going to be tough for Miami, and this is certainly one of them. Notre Dame made the championship finale last year. You mentioned the quarterback battle there. This is one of those 3 or 4 games that has top 10 potential.
All right, we love that. Let's move on to number 22, Iowa State, and 17, Kansas State in Ireland. 2 of the conference's top teams facing off in Dublin. What can we expect from this matchup?
Yeah, I'm going to say this is about the encore for Iowa State, which has not done a great job of stacking successful seasons back to back. They win 11 games for the first time in program history, finished as the Big 12 runner-up, bowl win against Miami, but they also had 4 players drafted and 5 players signed undrafted free agent contracts in the NFL. Iowa State is not used to replacing that much pro talent on a year-to-year basis. They bring back Rocco Becht, but they still have a lot of question marks that I will be looking for, maybe ranked a little highly by the pollsters. Kansas State, on the other hand, man, they should have a chip on their shoulder. They were one of the better teams in the Big 12, but they went 5-4 in Big 12 play. Huge disappointment. How do they respond? That's the big question for the Wildcats.
A chip on their shoulder. That's always a good way to end your segment, Chip. We love that. Guys, thank you so much, Brad and Chip, for the time. We appreciate you breaking that down for us. A reminder to check out the Cover 3 podcast, always breaking down the biggest headlines in college football.
Back here on HQ Spotlight, it is time for Rapid Picks with Emory Hunt. Emory, rapid or not, whatever you feel, we'll follow your lead, my friend. We're going to go through all the ranked games, week 0, week 1. You're going to walk us through, give us the best value. We're starting off with the big one, that is Texas against Ohio State, the highly anticipated CFP rematch. Who you got, Emory?
Full disclosure, I know both teams can either win their conference and or win the national championship, but this is just a week 1, week 0 standalone game. I like Ohio State in this one. Reigning national champions, they're going to be the champs until someone knocks them off. This is the best spot, in my opinion, for the Buckeyes to catch Texas.
All right, when it comes to the Big Ten on CBS, we have Penn State in action against Nevada. I keep on joking, Emory, that when I first saw this line and when it opened up, I thought we were putting the total on the screen because they're favored by 43.5 points. Are you laying all of that with the Nittany Lions?
Listen, I've been on a lot of these end of these spreads here as a college football player. We're like, man, there's no way we're going to lose by 46.5 points midway through the third quarter. You look up, bro, how are we down by 46 points? Lay these points with Penn State. They're going to blow the doors off Nevada. Their first 3 games should be cakewalks.
Dang, lay the 43.5 points with Penn State, right? Oregon, they're also heavy favorites against Montana State. Not as much, but still 25.5 point favorites for the Ducks. What do you like in that one, Emory?
This one is going to be a slow battle for Oregon. Montana State is actually one of the better FCS teams, and this is a game that they have circled on their calendar. When you're an FCS opponent, you want to face an FBS team in week 0 or week 1 because you have all spring, all summer to prepare. Take Montana State in the points to keep this one close. Remember, Oregon struggled with Idaho last season.
Okay, I love me some plus money. And we got a spicy matchup with Bama and FSU. Mike Norvell, his quarterback, kind of trash-talking the Crimson Tide. And you're also giving us plus money with this one.
My kind of guy, right? Talk some smack and then have to go out there and back it up. I love it. That's what we need more of in college football. That's why I like this one for Florida State to keep this one close. Again, plus money, a lot of pressure on Kalen DeBoer. And when you think about Florida State and Thomas Castellanos and how he performed against Missouri last season, they won that game outright. I think they can keep this one very tight and close in week 1.
All right, so we have the Battle of Death Valley next. We have Garrett Nussmeier, Cade Klubnik. We also know that Brian Kelly and LSU need a week 1 win like they need air. So, Emory, which way are you leaning when it comes to this matchup?
I'm leaning toward Clemson, and the reason why I love how Dabo Swinney coaches up in these big spots, right? Their team always shows up, sans the Georgia game last year, but we'll let that one go. When you think about Clemson, where they're strong consistently on both sides of the line of scrimmage. LSU is actually going to be a really good football team this year, but I've seen Cade Klubnik perform well in clutch situations, more so than I've seen from Garrett Nussmeier. That's why I like Clemson in this one.
All right, sorry, LSU fans. We know you want to get off to a hot start, but I don't know. All right, let's talk about UGA welcoming Marshall to town, and you're going with the obvious choice here, Georgia, 39.5 point favorites.
All of Marshall's, returning starters and all of their productivity is now playing for Southern Miss. 50 transfers out of that program have gone to Southern Miss to follow the head football coach down there, Charles Huff. So Marshall is just out there in name only. Georgia will win big in this one.
So I know there's a lot of hype around Texas and Ohio State. There's also a lot of hype around this matchup with Notre Dame and Miami. And odds makers think it's going to be a little close. Notre Dame 2.5 point favorites. And a lot of folks are really expecting Marcus Freeman and the Fighting Irish to take yet another step after we saw from them last season. But what do you like here? Where are you finding value?
Value is in Notre Dame. Listen, they have the best running back in the country in Jeremiah Love. I love the fact that he's able to hit the home run from anywhere on the field. I think we kind of saw that against Indiana. I know who's sitting next to you, and I know she remembers that. And so when you think about Notre Dame and how they play and what they do at the point of attack, that to me should win them this ballgame. And plus, just like I talked about Garrett Nussmeier and also Cade Klubnik, I can't trust Carson Beck in a big spot. And until I see it, I have to go with what I know, and that's Notre Dame's physicality and their ability to put pressure on the opposing quarterback.
Yeah, I need you to not trust Carson Beck whenever they face the Florida Gators. I need you to do that for me, Emory. I feel like I can count on you. Also, just a reminder, these are all games that are posted on FanDuel right now. So we're going to go to Ranked on Ranked in Iowa State and Kansas State. What do you like? The total sitting around 49 and a hook. K-State favored by 3.5.
Two really good quarterbacks. This is going to be a fun game to watch. I'm glad we're getting this one early, an early conference game that means something. I like Iowa State to win outright. I think the Cyclones will do a great job in being that fly in the ointment in the Big 12 and may even find a way to flirt with that playoff spot as well, too.
All right, we have ASU. They're taking on Northern Arizona here, and we want to talk about ASU and what are they going to do in terms of the season? We're kind of expecting them, like, are they going to run the table again in the Big 12? But where are you at in this matchup here with ASU, that side of things?
They're going to put them on a float and send them right back to Flagstaff, just waving like this, like, hey, thanks for getting this paycheck and get right back up the road, because ASU, to me, should win the Big 12. I think that's the team that will represent the Big 12 as the auto bid in the postseason.
All right, South Carolina and Virginia Tech. We know that Lenora Sellers is back with the Gamecocks. We got a lot of high hopes for that team, and they're taking on Virginia Tech. So we got some like Beamer history lore here going on, Emory, but you're looking at the plus money.
Yeah, because think about this, what happened last year in week 1, Vanderbilt beat the brakes off of Virginia Tech. So now guess who's going to be practicing to avoid the slow start? Virginia Tech. Kyron Drones is a very good quarterback, one that we need to talk more about. I think because of that, because of what happened last year against Vandy, they'll take this one extremely seriously, and we'll see this one be a lot tighter than that point spread.
All right, Virginia Tech at plus 7.5. Let's go to Michigan because they're still trying to find their footing post Harbaugh and that era, right? They're taking on New Mexico, but the Wolverines, 36.5-point favorites. Do you like Michigan in this spot? I feel like we do.
Yeah, we do. Like, lay these points with Michigan. Sorry, Nevada. I'm sorry, them too. But sorry, New Mexico. Like, Michigan got this one sold up.
Yeah, it's easy to get confused when you're both like double-digit underdogs against these Big Ten powerhouses. One's like 45.5-point underdog. This one is 36.5. All right, we have Oklahoma and Illinois State, but you were going with the Sooners here.
I'm a big Brock Speck guy of Illinois State. I love what they do up front, but yeah, this is an unfair matchup for them. Oklahoma looks strong this year with John Mateer.
All right, we have UTSA and Texas A&M. The Aggies, 21.5-point favorites. The total sitting at 57 and a hook. What do you like, Emory?
I'm all about spicy takes. I'm all about the upset, but not this one. A&M's offensive and defensive line and that 4-deep backfield will run up and down the field against the Road Runners.
All right, Old Dominion in Indiana. This is Trisha's team, Emory. So you have to.
And Emory was not very nice in the commercial break about my team.
So do the right thing, Emory. Do the right thing.
Yes.
Well, it works out perfectly, Trisha, because they're playing a Sun Best Conference team, and we all know who's the best team in the Sun Best Conference. So, of course, I want Indiana to win this ball game against Old Dominion, and they will. I'm a big Kurt Cinetti guy as well, too. I love Indiana in this spot.
We all love Kurt Cignetti. He's got always good for a great soundbite.
He is. I just don't believe Emory. I don't believe him, considering what he said in the commercial break. But we'll take it. I forgive you.
Yeah, he's picking IU. You got it, Emory. All right, Georgia State and Ole Miss. What do you like here?
I love Austin Simmons. I think he's going to be a Heisman sleeper. And Georgia State, tough matchup in week 1 against Lane Kiffin and his Rebels. So I like Ole Miss here big.
All right, finally, Boise State taking on USF. Boise State trying to build upon the magical CFP run that they had with Ashton Genty. He is playing on Sundays now, but what do you like here for Boise State and South Florida?
I almost picked this as an upset, but then I realized South Florida's defense was giving up everything like it was Christmas. So for me, I am going with Boise State. I think because they got that playoff taste last year, they're going to try to run it back. Even without Ashton Genty, I think they'll take care of business here against the Bulls.
Emory, we made it, my friend. We got picks for a nice handful of games in week 0 and week 1. We knew you were the guy to do it. And Trisha is clapping because you are giving her, you stuck with IU like you said you would, you know? For more winning picks, make sure you check out The Early Edge, a daily sports line betting podcast you can watch right now by scanning that QR code on your screen.